Alright guys, welcome back. I think I got almost 2,000 miles on the new engine and the new turbo and everything on the Dakota, and it's working pretty much flawlessly. I've got that GTC 2262 tuned up to about, it's right around 32 to 34 psi at full throttle, and it is just hardly even breaking 1200 degree EGTs. So pretty happy with that, and I think it's about ready for some redemption. So if you guys have been following along with this thing, it blew up on me. I cracked a piston in Phoenix, and not really looking to test over 100 degree road trips anytime soon, but we had a trip planned to California, so I figured what better time to break it in and prove itself than now. So anyway, I won't make this intro too long, but got everything checked out, and I've got the bed loaded with all our luggage and a tote of spare accessories and tools and everything. Unfortunately, it's pretty windy today, so probably not going to check out the 75 mile an hour MPG for the first leg of this trip, but it'll be about 3 days we're taking to get down there. It's somewhere around 1,200 miles. I'll have a map up for you here later on in the video, and you can check it out. But figured I'd take you guys along for the ride and see how it does. So I'm gonna stop at the weigh scale here and give you guys a total weight on this thing, because getting low 20s, I know a lot of guys doing diesel swaps think that isn't very good, but if you compare this thing, and I'll probably try park it next to some stuff on the trip, it is real close to a 12-inch lift and almost 36-inch tall tires on this thing. It is just massive. So to break 20 mpg, I am just overall thrilled. So we'll see what it'll do on straight highway miles and through some different terrain as we make our way down south and west. So we'll see how it goes. Alright guys, just doing a quick weigh scale session here on the Dakota. I've got all the luggage in the back. The only thing it's missing is people, and without getting into any marital disputes over how much my wife weighs, we're going to estimate it'll be about another 500 to 600 pounds more than what we got there. So we're going to be right at 6,500 pounds cruising down the highway. It's pretty windy today. We're getting started, so we'll see what it runs and keep you guys updated on the MPG readings and how we do. Stop is Walmart in Rawlins, Wyoming. Had some cheap fuel, so figured I'd fill up there. We've gone 210 miles and it has been abusive. We did it on 11 gallons of fuel, so right at 19 miles a gallon. I didn't even feel safe getting any videos of the gauges while I was driving. It was blowing me all over the place. We were pretty much sustained 40 mile an hour winds, and yeah, it was not nice. Pretty much holding 22 to 25 pounds of boost constant, but we're gonna keep on going. As we made it to Rock Springs, Wyoming, been fighting the headwind that whole night, so we went ahead and stopped. It was only another 120 or 30 miles, I think, so still right about 19 miles a gallon, fighting that 40. It dropped to about 30 mile an hour headwind, but it was just constant. So anyway, it is dead still this morning, hoping we can get a little bit better MPG average for some more of the trip here. But anyway, I did forget to mention, since I had so many issues last trip, I figured I better add a sticker to the truck just to help out. So we'll keep trucking along here. We're heading south through, well, across to Utah and then south down towards Las Vegas. Alright, well, we are in southern Utah here. Just got the Dakota parked next to a stock Dodge 1500 and a CRV for comparison, and letting the kids play. We're just about to get out of the mountains here, and it's getting a lot more flat. I went almost 400 miles here since the last fill up, and I still ran into more wind there. About right after I said it was calm for the morning, it got windy for about another hour. But since then, we went through the Utah mountains there around Salt Lake City, and then now we've pretty much just been flat cruising there. Every once in a while there's a hill or a mountain to go over. But anyway, the last 400 miles we averaged about 22.5, gained like 3.5 mpg, even with a little bit of wind involved, just getting out of the nasty Wyoming fuel mileage area. So looking forward to seeing what some more flatland does for the mileage here. I might even be able to tip into 24 mpg, we'll see. But we'll keep on a trucking. So I wanted a quick note, we saw a pretty cool hotel to stay at off the interstate, only 14 miles. Didn't really realize we'd be climbing over 4,000 feet in that 14 miles, but the Dakota was a little stressed out trying to get up here. But it is a pretty beautiful view down here, or still in southern Utah where we stopped for the night. But pretty sweet way to wake up in the morning and keep trucking along towards California. Made a quick stop here going through Hurricane Utah at Matt's Off-Road Recovery. Of course they're out on a call though, so we might go walk through the shop and everything for a tour, but we only get to see the banana so far. But pretty cool to see something you already watch on YouTube. Alright, we're just coming into Las Vegas, seeing all the skyscrapers and everything along the strip here, and truck's cruising along nice. Got the AC on, no trouble at all with the 65, 70 mile an hour speed limits. It's just cruising right along. Pulling some of these California, I should say, mountain passes. We're getting pretty warm here, touching off 1300 degree GTs, and the coolant temp's climbing up. But I'm holding 70 pretty easy here, just over 25 pounds of boost, and we're just making it to the top. Definitely a lot different than our mountains. But yep, and now it's cooling back off. Alright, I took this video later on, but once I got to California, I was actually looking at the radiator hose, and I had it attached to the actuator here, and moved it, and the whole thing moved. And I hadn't really thought much of it, but those first videos I took of the gauges, it was running lower boost and higher EGTs than it should have been. And come to find out, the actuator, it's hard to really get in here to show you a video, but where the actuator mounts down here to the turbo, it cracked the weld I had put on there, and I tried to weld it again, and it ended up cracking again about halfway back. I need to brace it better to the turbo, but I ended up getting some zip ties to the intake there that are holding it nice and secure, and went ahead and just pulled this up to hold it out of the way for now, and it's working just perfect like that. So after that, you'll see in the next videos of the gauges, it's running more boost and lower EGTs, and didn't have any trouble with it after that. All right guys, so we're about, I think, an hour, little over an hour from the California coast here somewhere. I can't keep track of all the towns we're going through, but anyway, did about 500 miles on the last tank and clocked just right under 23 miles a gallon, like 22.9. There's just a lot of hills and stuff, and I'll kind of go into it when I have more time a little later. But anyway, still can't really complain. I mean, it's almost double what it would have got with the 5.9 V8 in it. So it is trucking right along, keeping up with traffic. There are a few hills I had to slow down on, but other than that, it's been doing great. So we're gonna make it to the coast and I'll get some more video there. Well, that was like just shy of 1,200 miles, but the Dakota is at the California coastline, watching the waves come in. So pretty sweet, excited it made it here. Really no major issues. I think I'll probably go over more detailed into stuff that I wanted to talk about at the end of the video, but we are going to be here for 5 days and then start the trek back. So I'll try keep you guys posted along the way. There's quite a few mountain passes and this thing is just huge. There were a few places, and I mean, it's hard to really judge it because I don't think I could have held 70 if I wanted to, just because the engine temps just slowly start creeping up once you start hitting 5 and 6% grade. And some of those were just miles and miles long. So fortunately, a lot of the time the speed limit was slowing down to 65, even 55 mile an hour. So that pretty well helped me out there, because then I was down into third gear around 3,000 RPM. And for the most part, I could make it up every hill, every pass without needing to slow down for the coolant temps getting too hot. But with it running about 185 on flatland, I was just creeping over 200 to 205 on some of those passes. But it's also only been about, the highest we saw was 87 degrees outside, and I think it's going to be cooler on the way back, so that could help. But I'll keep you guys posted and try and maybe get some video of climbing up those passes. But some of them are pretty windy. Not really a good idea to be on the phone videoing in all the traffic, because it's been a lot of traffic. That's definitely the downside to getting over here towards California. But it sure is beautiful here, so we're gonna enjoy our time and then start heading back. Well, I didn't do a whole lot of checking mileage or anything at all in California. Just a lot of running around, and if I saw some fuel under $6 a gallon, I put a few gallons in and got through the week. But I pretty much didn't even use a full tank the whole 5 days I was there. And so last night we made it to Vegas, stayed there for the night, and I filled up before I left, and now we are somewhere past St. George, Utah. So did quite a bit of mountain climbing, some flatland and some uphill, but no downhill at all. And so with all the elevation climbs, I clocked just over 20, about 20 and a half miles a gallon for this first like 150 miles. So filled it up again, and we will see what we get next time. I think we're gonna try to get close to the Wyoming border today, but there's been a lot of traffic. It is crazy busy. I think you can see the interstate over there, just cars constant. So I haven't been able to do a lot of my videoing the gauges. Definitely not safe to get any hands off the wheel pretty much this whole trip, honestly, since I left Wyoming. Utah, and you go through Arizona a little bit, and then what was I gonna say, Utah, and then Nevada, and then California. It has been just traffic. So anyway, I got a few clips, took some pictures of gauges climbing some of the hills I'll put in here, and then I'll try to get some more video here as hopefully the traffic gets a little less. But I know we're going to be getting to Salt Lake City again, and then that'll be just even more. But yep, beautiful scenery, and this thing's just cruising right along. I did get showing signs of the front seal on the transfer case is starting to leak on me, and of course, like one drip an hour completely covers the axle in fluid, even though I checked it just to be safe and it's still completely full, but you'd swear I dumped a gallon of oil on the back axle. Gotta love that. But other than that, it's been trucking along good. So I'll keep you guys updated. Alright, well, we're getting close to Salt Lake City, but it's dark now. So, just trying to find a color on the gauges that's easy to see here, but we're pretty much perfectly flat land. Just wanted to kind of give you guys an idea with this tuning updated. It's 77 mile an hour. It's running about 20 pounds of boost and 850 degree EGTs. Pretty steady. The oil temp's just a little over 200 with the coolant temp at 185, and that's pretty much what it holds there. So if I can get a spot where there's some good hills and not much traffic, I'll try to get another video once we start climbing, but this is pretty much what it wants to cruise at. Those are the numbers. So 7,000 pound rig at 76, 77 mile an hour. That's what you're looking at, with some good tuning and a big enough turbo to handle some added boost. Alright, we're just hitting a pretty good climbing section here. Got a semi-slow lane. You can see the boost starts spiking up there. The cruise, I think my Dodge vehicle speed sensor to the VW kind of lets the speed jump a little, and then the electric actuator is really touchy, so that speed moving around is definitely affecting my boost, making it kind of sporadic. I thought it was more in the tuning, but it doesn't do it when the cruise isn't on, at least not like it does right now. But anyway, we're just kind of getting up to where this is going to get a little steeper. See if I can show you guys. This thing will just really start to push how much boost I want to run continually. There we're sitting about 27, 28 pounds at 1,000 degree EGTs. And there we're up towards 30. And you can see the coolant temp starting to climb. This isn't a really sustained grade. It's kind of varying some here because we're cooling back off here a little. I think it's going to get steep again. Yeah, here's a little bit more climbing we can get. The road's pretty bouncy though. But again, I'm just kind of letting this thing go with the cruise on until it's really starting to peg the boost gauge out. Here we'll get steep again. But yeah, 30 pounds of boost, and it starts adding some more fuel there. You can see the EGTs spike over just over 1100 there. But we are climbing pretty heavy here. And it looks like we're about leveled out now. Yeah, it's gonna taper off here. But that was a pretty decent climb. Alright guys, we made it from Vegas to Provo, Utah on about 260 miles, or 260 miles on is 11.5 gallons, so just like 22.5 mpg. I was kind of thinking we'd be getting better, but I did also Forget the last trip that I was getting over 23. I was going more like 70, 72 at the most. And I've been going pretty consistently 75 to 77 mile an hour. So definitely having less vibrations and stuff at higher speeds. So with the hills and stuff, and just overall, like I say, this thing is just so massive. I'm pretty impressed with that kind of mileage at over 75 mile an hour. So a little sobering here. It looks like I honestly didn't even pay attention, but we're right here by the Utah University here, I believe, where Charlie Kirk was assassinated. So kind of heavy going by there, but we're gonna keep trekking along. This is our last day of travel, so we should be able to get home today. It's about 8 hours of travel, so we'll keep trucking along, see if I can get some more video of how the truck's doing in the hills. We got a lot of mountains to climb and stuff before we get into Wyoming, so should be some good tests for the keeping the temperatures down and how fast we can go. Alright, here's some pretty big hills here just in between Evanston and Rock Springs, Wyoming. I haven't been keeping the cruise on for the steepest parts, so I'm just kind of holding it there around 30 pounds of boost. EGTs will creep up there and see what we can do with that, because yeah, I just wants to bury the boost gauge if I leave the cruise on. But we're climbing it. I mean, it's losing speed slowly. We're just over 1200 degree EGTs, but we're still doing 75. Looks like we're about to the top. Coolant temp was cooling down there. It was down to about 170 coming down that hill on the other side, so gave me some wiggle room on the coolant. But there we are at the top, and we can back off. So definitely some coolant temp rise, but we kept it under 1300 EGTs and barely lost speed. Alright, we're just at the bottom of the next hill. This looks like a pretty serious climb here. So, cooled clear down to 167. It's about 55 degrees outside. So we're gonna do the same thing again. Kind of hold it here around 25 to 30 pounds of boost and see what we can do. It's pretty flat here. Just a slight incline. Gets steeper there at the end. So just a slight grade I can do with more like 25 pounds of boost and 900 EGTs. We're holding that just fine. This concrete isn't nice in the truck though. Makes it pretty bouncy here. Alright, now we're getting a little more incline. Still got plenty of power though. I'm really not needing to push it anymore to hold speed. There's that last bit at the end now. These hills are so long though. That's where that coolant temp starting out lower really helps me. If I was already at 200 degrees to start with this, I'd be backing off a long time ago. So we're gonna try do the same thing again. Hold about 30 pounds of boost. I think this is quite a bit steeper than the last hill we just went up, so we'll probably lose some more speed here. EGTs are creeping up to 1100. We're starting to feel it now. It's slowing down quite a bit. Might even have to downshift on this one. see how low the RPMs get there. Down to 2,700. Holding that 30 pounds of boost. Oh, the semis are going like 40 mile an hour.
Jesus.
And we just lost a bag of chips, so we're definitely climbing. Alright, and same thing though, 13, kept it under 1,300 degrees. And it looks like I got some issues with my coolant temperature sensor wire, I think. It's either that or the sensor's flaking out on me. Every once in a while it drops off like that. We'll see what it got up to there. Doesn't look like I even got over 190 though. And we made it up. We're on flatland.
Unlike the chips.
Yep, the chips did not make it. Alright guys, we are back at the Walmart in Rollins. Just filled up, and I said it wasn't going to do it, but I haven't filled up since that Maverick in, where was it? Provo, Utah. So about 330 miles with a couple of stops in towns, and it did it on just over 13 gallons of fuel. So that's right there around 24.5 miles a gallon. And you guys saw some of the hills I climbed up. Of course the downhills make up for it. And it's pretty much been flatland with just a little bit of tailwind. Been pretty much no wind at all today though. I guess you can kind of see the flag up there. That's been about what it's been like. And yeah, I just cannot believe it did that well. So anyway, this will be my last fill up. We got about a little under 3 hours left and we will be home, and I'll probably do a recap maybe tomorrow in the light. So anyway, could not be happier with the trip, and we are just about done. So it's been doing great. All right guys, well, we are back home. Just to do a little recap, I pretty well talked about everything as we went, other than that actuator giving me grief and the transfer case seal kind of leaking on me. I really did not have anything to complain about. Just really has turned into a pretty solid rig. I didn't really expect to be traveling with this thing that much, and there are some driveline vibrations and stuff that do get annoying on long trips. And I don't know how much I'm going to dig into it. I mean, I've replaced the brand new drive shafts. I've swapped transfer cases that seem to change some of the vibrations. Really, the only thing I haven't changed is the transmission itself, which could be causing some issues. I may try some different motor mounts, but overall, it's not super annoying. Just kind of gets old when it's hours on end. But other than that, it just really glides down the road nice. I mean, I wouldn't say that something this big is a great idea for a TDI swap. It gets the job done, but I mean, as you could see in the videos, I didn't really get it much of it when it was windy, but I just really can't push it very much at all when it's windy. It takes pretty much all of 30 pounds of boost to pull hills in this thing without wind. So as soon as you add wind, I got to start slowing down, or I am just pushing this thing way over the max. Because, and I don't know, I mean, I guess we could look into building the engine. I mean, I could do a beefier engine that could handle holding over 30 pounds of boost constantly, but I mean, some of those mountain passes, I mean, it was 5 to almost 10 minutes of climbing, and to be trying to do that against a headwind, I mean, I'm pretty positive I would have needed 35 or 40 pounds of boost to hold speed. And that's, I don't know, that just seems like a lot to me, but maybe I could build an engine that would handle it and do it that much. But honestly, for how much of the terrain I drive on that I don't need to do that, it's pretty decent to just use it the way it is. Um, it really performs pretty dang well for a completely stock ALH. Just dropping it in here and running it. Um, and again, I mean, I don't even, there's no way I'm even making 200 horsepower. So 300 foot-pounds of torque, probably max, and that is just what this thing needs to hold speed in most conditions. So yeah, like I say, I don't really know if there's too much else to talk about. Just really enjoyed putting it to the test and making it back without much of an issue at all. So feel free to leave any comments or questions on it. I mean, I've got tons of videos on the build itself if you want to go back and check out how I put it all together. But I think if it were, stock, more closer to stock height and not near as much tire and lift on it, it would probably do most of this stuff without any stress at all. But it sure is fun to be driving something like this across country. It definitely turns heads. And it's also not too bad when nobody wants to try push you around in the traffic. Everybody tends to look at the tires next to them in their car and move over a lane, so kind of enjoy that. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and hopefully this will give anybody some confidence if they're wanting to build a swap like this and be able to road trip it. I don't think you can get too much more extreme than this thing is, and it just did it about perfect. So thanks for watching.